to Golf Betting Club's The Closing Stretch. We're back after missing a week last week because of the craziness of the Players' Championship. But this week, the final event of the Florida Swing, it's the Valspar Championship around the Copperhead course. Guys, has the snake been biting this year?
It really hasn't, has it? You know, like it's snake bit is very timid in comparison to what it, you know, how it normally plays. And you know, the soft greens, the guys are really eating it up, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. And I mean, a lot lower scores than we've seen here in the past. And Neil, they talk about the fact that, you know, the Honda Classic has the bear trap, the Valspar has the snake pit, and there's no comparison this year at all.
No, not at all, especially the par threes. I think the tees were slightly forward yesterday, but they just weren't causing them much trouble at all. There was a lot of birdie putts. I think Thomas or Burns birdied the 16th. And it's just the whole week has been a bit of a strange feel to it. It's not what we expect from Copperhead.
I know.
But it's nice to see an interesting leaderboard.
Yeah, we do. And we're really going to dive into that. And with the, 4 par fives around here as well, it just, those guys are just killing the par fives this week. I saw a stat that Sam Burns is leading in par 5 scoring of all time at like 40 under par. And this is maybe only the second or third time that he's played the tournament. So it's crazy. Right, well, let's talk about the fact that Davis Riley is up at the top of the leaderboard on 18 under par. Matthew Naismith, 2 shots behind him at -16. So, Dunk, let's talk about Riley, who's a newbie on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he won 2 times on the Corn Ferry Tour in 2020, and he was one of the kind of unfortunate players that suffered from the coronavirus pause, which meant that the Corn Ferry players stayed in 2021 on the Corn Ferry Tour and played a longer season. So it's taken him a little longer to get to the PGA Tour than maybe, you know, anticipated. But those 2 wins that he had in 2020 obviously mark him out as a player who's got enormous potential to go on and win on the PGA Tour. And, you know, he's never going to have a better chance than this. You know, playing yesterday with his good buddy, wasn't he? He was playing with Justin Thomas. And what was a really comfortable pairing. You know, those 2 are good friends off the course. I think they went to the same college in America. And, you know, yesterday was fantastic for Davis. That 62 was incredible. And, you know, he enjoys the 2-shot lead at the top of the leaderboard.
And he looked very calm. And if he got himself into situations, he was very good at getting himself out of situations. And, you know, that's as the pressure mounts on the weekend when you're in contention, that can be the area that really kind of shows your weakness. But Matthew Naismith is another one, never won on the PGA Tour before. I think his best finished was a 6th place. But you know, he shot 61 on Friday, Neil, which is amazing. And we followed it up with a 69 yesterday, and he fell away a little bit. I think we saw his first bogey of the tournament yesterday, but still right there.
Yeah, it was a really impressive front nine by Naismith, considering what he did the day before. He wasn't able to maintain that on the back nine. But I think today, going into the final round, a couple of shots behind, rather than having the pressure of leading, is actually going to suit Naismith. By the way he talks, you can tell he's the type of guy that thinks a lot about, you know, being in contention and being in the lead. So I think coming from off the pace definitely suits Naismith. He talks about how he really enjoys the front nine, how it suits his eye. So I think he could get himself back into contention, but whether he can hold himself in the back nine if he gets himself into the mix, I've got serious question marks over whether he could get over the line, but we'll see.
Well, before we start talking about the rest of the pack, what about Riley and Naismith? Are these guys that you're looking at potentially to close it out?
Out of the 2, I would actually prefer Riley. So I'm just looking at the betting now. Riley is the favourite at 9-4. So Justin Thomas is 5-2, second favourite. Sam Burns 7-2, and Naismith is the outsider now at 11-2.
Okay.
I just feel Riley has these 2 wins on the Corn Ferry Tour, and they were impressive wins as well. He birdied 3 of the last 4 holes to win in San Antonio, and he also he came from 1 back in Panama to win by a couple of strokes. So I know it's the Corn Ferry Tour, but it's still a winning experience, and it bodes well for today. I am a little bit worried about he had 2 drives on the back nine that he got away with. One clattered into the trees and came all the way back onto the fairway, and he ended up, saving his par. And the other one on 18, he went so far right. It was over the heavy rough, and he was able to get a par again. His putting was so good yesterday. All the putts were just going straight in the middle at the perfect pace.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can keep that up, I think I don't fancy Naismith's chances, to be honest. So I think it's almost a 3-shot lead over Thomas and Burns for me.
Okay.
So he would be the most tempting out of the two.
Okay. Dunk, you're the same?
Yeah, I think so. I think like Riley's got that pedigree that I think that I could see him go on and winning this potentially. He almost fits that kind of Sam Burns profile from last year. Maybe not quite. He hasn't achieved what Sam Burns has achieved before Sam Burns won last year. But he's got that kind of young, not superstar, but he's got that kind of young pedigree in terms of he's likely to go on and win a couple of times on the PGA Tour in future. And I think like this could be a perfect opportunity for Davis, but he needs the putter to stay hot. Yesterday the putter was the driving force behind that score, and if that putter kind of runs cold today, then he's going to have to watch his rear view mirror, because those guys coming up behind are certainly going to challenge.
Well, I was about to say, how would you feel if you're chasing your debut victory on the PGA Tour and Justin Thomas is lurking right behind you? Justin Thomas wearing some brand new fancy joggers on the course as well. I kept looking at him and I'm like, it doesn't even look like him. But JT at 15 under, 3 rounds of 66 just shows how well and how consistent he is playing. And we've seen since Bones came on the bag, there's been such a progression in JT's game, and he has to be so mad at the fact that he hasn't won since he won the Players' Championship last year. It's completely out of his realm of possibilities, his goals, and what he wants to achieve. So JT is going to be all guns blazing today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're going to see Burns and Thomas make a real go at Riley and Naismith above them, and I wouldn't be surprised to see both of them get to at least -20 and post a score of that or better today. I think the thing with JT, and I've been mentioning it on the blogs so far this week, is that he just seems to be susceptible to a real kind of mental mistake at one point in the round. We backed him to be second round leader earlier on this week, and he was going great at 12 under par until he got to the 7th hole, I think it was. A short par 4, under 400 yards, takes a driver out, leaves himself in tree difficulty and ends up making a double bogey on a relatively innocuous hole. Mm-hmm. And it was the same story last week at the Players' Championship when, he had a couple of just moments of madness. He was in the middle of the fairway on 16 with 200 yards at one point and dumps it in the water. Just kind of costly errors at the wrong time. And that's been the reason that we've been put off JT so far this week. But he is capable of fireworks, and if he can keep that moment of madness off the scorecard, then he's well in this.
Mm. And then Neil, we've got Sam Burns at 15 under as well, and as Dunk said, you expect Sam Burns to make a run, especially because this was the home of his debut win on the PGA Tour last year.
Yeah, you've got to expect him to make a run. He's such a good putter that on a Sunday that is so important, and you can't expect him to get into the mix today. There's something about Burns that I've been watching over the last 2 weeks. He's just been a little bit ragged at times, and it's kind of putting me off taking the 7-2. But out of the 4, he does look like the value price. Mm-hmm. But it's just not long enough to pull the trigger the way Burns has sort of been playing the last couple of weeks for me.
Right, okay. Well, Neil, sticking with you then, who else are you looking at from this chasing pack to potentially make huge moves?
I don't think you can rule the 11 unders out, and obviously Adam Hadwin had a bad day yesterday, but we've seen winners come from 5 shots back, 2 of the last 5 editions of this event, and if we're right in saying that Riley and Naismith are going to face a lot of pressure today, it's not entirely impossible they go round in level par or over par, which brings a whole host of players into it, like the likes of Matt Fitzpatrick and Xander. So it'll be an interesting day, but we're actually going to focus on a different market today as opposed to the win-only market. So we'll happily just watch and see how it plays out.
Okay. All right, Dunk, anything else you want to note?
No, I think, like as Neil said, that there've been a couple of comeback winners here, but three of the last 5 winners have been the leader. So, Davis Riley does have that in his favour, that, third round leaders have managed to convert 3 of the last 5 times. So although it wouldn't be a shock to go on and see him win, I think that if it was push come to shove, I would pick one of JT or Burns to come through and see it through. But it's a kind of muddled market, and there's a bet, as Neil said, that we like better. So I'll let Neil outline that bet for you.
Okay, over to you then.
Yes, we're gonna play the top 10 market. So the player that we like to finish at the top 10 is Robert Streb, who is one of those on 11 under. So he's currently in tied 6th and inside the top 10. Robert had a great round yesterday. I think he was -6. His approach play has improved every day this week, which is a great sign of trending in the right direction performance-wise. And his tee to green performance has been excellent in general. He ranks 10th this week. I feel like Robert is one of these players that when he's on, he's underrated by the market. Every year he seems to post a couple of top 10s. I was looking back in the last 4 or 5 years, every year he's posted a couple of top 10s. He's not had one this year yet, but he's in an excellent position to do so. And his odds of 7-4 to stay inside the top 10. He's already there. So he just needs another solid day tee to green. And I think that's the value of the market rather than chasing the winner at prices such as 9-4 or 5-2. So that's the play we're going to do today.
All right, so Robert Streb to finish in the top 10. Then are we doing a closing stretch parlay today?
We are indeed. We've got 2 selections, quite juicy odds, and 2 balls today. So the first one we've got is Sam Burns, who's up against Justin Thomas. Now Sam Burns is the outsider in this one. He's priced up at 11-8. And I think the differential between Burns and Thomas is too great, and I think that 11-8 is worth taking. Burns was good to tee to green yesterday, but his putter was cold, which is uncharacteristic for him. Normally he's an excellent putter around here, and I think that the odds available for Burns are too good to pass up. I would have marked them a bit closer in the card, so I think the 11-8 is well worth taking, that Sam Burns can find his putting stroke again and take Justin Thomas today. And then the other one that I like is Robert Streb to beat Adam Hadwin. And for the reasons that Neil's already outlined, we think that Robert Streb will have a good day today. Adam Hadwin has kind of gone backwards. His scores have gone backwards over the course of the week. He's regressed. And yesterday wasn't a great round for him, either on the greens or off the tee. So Robert Streb's got the momentum, and at 13-8, that's too big a price again to be matched up against Hadwin. So if you play them both in a double, you're looking at about 5-1 for the 2 selections, which is more than fair in my opinion.
Yeah, really good. Oh wow, I like it. We've got some really good tips coming in today. So should be an interesting final round at the Valspar Championship. Hopefully it's a profitable one as well. Any of your bets from the start of the week in a good position as well?
And Scott's you go, Neil.
I don't know who's more angry about it. We were in a great position. Scott Stallings was our main one in contention, so we put him up at 150-1 at the start of the week, and he just didn't turn up yesterday. So he's still got an outside chance, along with your brother Russell, who we tipped up. So he's in 21st place at the moment. So we need a top 8 from one of them. So fingers crossed we'll get a Sunday mover.
I would love a top 8 from Russell as well. That would be 2 top 10s back to back.
Another one, yeah.
That would be nice. All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll catch up again next week. And don't forget, you can follow along with the show on YouTube, and we have the podcast version as well. Just search for Golf Betting Club, and then follow along on Twitter and on Instagram. And of course, golfbettingclub.com. You can subscribe, sign up, you get all the tips delivered each and every week, and we will be back next Sunday.